For 249 years, the United States Navy has been the most powerful Navy in the world. We have delivered power for peace and have always been postured and ready to fight and win as part of the joint force and alongside our allies and partners. We are the sailors and civilians who have answered our nation's call to serve, and we are proud to operate far forward, around the world and around the clock, from the seabed to space, in cyberspace, and in the information environment, to promote our nation's prosperity and security, to deter aggression, and to provide options to our nation's leaders. We are here to preserve the peace, respond in crisis, and win decisively in war if called. We are America's warfighting Navy.
Welcome to VA Northeast Ohio Healthcare System, Cleveland's celebration for the 249th birthday of the United States Navy. Happy birthday, shipmates. I am Hospital Corpsman First Class Brandy Ford, the mistress of ceremonies for today's program. I have a 20-year career in the United States Navy, VA employee for almost 2 years, current supervisor in community care. It is truly a pleasure to have you join us for this time-honored occasion. October 13th, 2024 will mark the Navy's 249th birthday. In 1972, the Chief of Naval Operations, Zumwalt, designated October 13th as the Navy's official birthday to enhance a greater appreciation for our Navy heritage and to provide a positive influence toward pride and professionalism in the naval service. The central theme of this year's celebration is warfighting strength and readiness, thus highlighting our Navy's focus that everything we do and have done is through a warfighting lens to deliver decisive combat power, beginning with the establishment of our Navy in 1775 and continuing to our current modern fleet. Our Navy has answered our nation's call to service. The U.S. Navy has been the shield of the Republic for nearly 250 years. We are the most powerful Navy in the world. Today, the Navy's birthday celebrates our traditions of honor, courage, and commitment, and recognizes sailors past and present who are the foundation upon which we have built the world's greatest Navy and secured victories for our nation. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remain standing for the national anthem and invocation. It is our pleasure and honor to have the Cleveland Institute of Music, Elijah Leonard, Jamie Walton, Louis Roy, Shive Love, and Ching Shia Wang, the Cleveland Regional Transit Authority Honor Guard, Jason Kantz, Chris Anderson, Todd Miller, Robert Cummings, John Puckero, and Chris Prior. The national anthem will be sung by 5-year Navy veteran Connie Finley, lead patient liaison, employee patient experience service.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous flight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
At ease. The invocation will be delivered by Chaplain Ryan Pitt, a Navy lieutenant and VA chaplain fellow.
Let us pray. Almighty One, we gather here today to honor the 249 years of sailors, the women and men who sensed the patriotic calling of the seas in the United States Navy. From humble beginnings with 6 frigates to today's global fleet, we've courageously patrolled the waters, ready to engage wherever needed. Whether the winds take us to Midway, to Manila Bay, to the Battle of the Atlantic, to the Battle of Lake Erie, our Navy maintains the watch with a careful eye. It is this legacy of the warfighting strength and readiness we are thankful for. As we remember our past, we also lift up our shipmates currently serving in danger, preparing to go, or reintegrating into their homes. May our movements and voices today uphold the naval traditions and standards of excellence in honor of their ongoing sacrifice. Bless their families, their homes, and loved ones in our commitment to freedom and democracy around the world. Remind them, God, that they do not sail alone. And God, we ask you to bestow the blessings of your peace on the world. Keep our sailors strong and skilled, feared by their foes, loved by their friends, and treasured in the heart of this nation, the nation that birthed this United States Navy, the nation that gives us cause to never give up the ship. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Pitt. Please be seated. It is my honor to introduce Navy veteran, Lieutenant Garrett Schreier, Nurse Corps, Associate Director of Patient Care Services, Executive Leadership Team, to say a few words.
Good morning and welcome. So glad you are all here to be a part of our celebration and enjoying the 249th birthday of the United States Navy. I'm here today as a part of our executive leadership team to say that, but I'm also here as a Navy veteran, as you heard, and this is pretty special for me to be able to do this celebration with you. The Navy's been a large part of my life, and 36 years later, I never in a million years would imagine I'd still be in healthcare. As a 17-year-old, when I went into the Navy, only thing that was available at that time was a corpsman, and that's how I had no clue what I was getting myself into. I just needed to go, and that was what I ended up. And here I am all these years later, still working in healthcare and still working with my shipmates, so I am grateful for that. As I had some thoughts of what I might say this morning, I couldn't have asked for a better segue in that video that we saw at the start of this celebration. The sheer presence of the United States Navy around the world, and what really remarked me was, as we watched that, a multitude of things, but the one thing that stuck out was the Navy's ability to inflict sheer violence when it needs to. The ability, I didn't say the act thereof, but the ability to do it. And the thing that sticks out to me with that, as we watch the guns and the planes and the boats with all the armor, it's a deterrent. When the Navy, when a battle group rolls up in the Med off the coast of Israel and off of Lebanon and they roll up, it's there as a deterrence. They're there to kind of bring a neutral cooling to all that's going on. The other side of that, though, that I can't help but think about is the hope that is also rolling up. The Navy gave me hope. It gave me opportunity. And I suspect for all the veterans in this room, maybe especially today, but all, that your service gave you hope in your life. It gave you opportunities that you wouldn't have had otherwise. It gave us the potential to impact others and to better ourselves, but also, more importantly, to better those around us in our country and to establish where we are today and the freedoms that we have. I can't help but think of, as we celebrate 249 years, thinking about Tripoli and one of our first real engagements, and when Thomas Jefferson had to make the decision to send what was schooners at that time off the coast of Tripoli, and the Constitution and the Constellation and the Philadelphia and the original Enterprise rolled up on that coastline. In my mind, I can see little kids on the shoreline that are living under piracy at that time, and they see this new country show up. You can't help but think that they had hope that things would change and hope that what was going on would stop. And we continue to deliver that hope to countries today around the world. And we continue to deliver hope to young men and women who need a future, who need a way out. And I can't help but believe that the Navy will continue to do that for many, many years to come. And for that, I am very grateful. So we will continue to celebrate the 249th birthday today. We look forward to the 250th birthday next year. And I am going to leave you with that. Go Navy, beat Army.
That's right.
Thank you, Mr. Schreier. Sailors, please join and welcome Chief Navy veteran Michaela Boltzwick, Presidential Management Fellow, Patient Care Administrative Service, Acting Assistant Service Chief, Patient Transfer Center, in reading the Sailor's Creed. If you can, please stand for the Sailor's Creed. Sailors, attention to the Sailor's Creed. I am a United States sailor. I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, and I will obey the orders of those appointed over me. I represent the fighting spirit of the Navy and those who have gone before me to defend freedom and democracy around the world. I proudly serve my country's Navy combat team with honor, courage, and commitment. I am committed to excellence and fair treatment of all. At ease. Thank you, Ms. Boltzwick. Please welcome retired Command Master Chief Jeff Snowden, Chief Employee and Leadership Development, to introduce our keynote speaker.
Good morning. Today we are honored to have a recorded Navy birthday greeting from retired Fleet Master Chief Raymond D. Kemp Sr. As a Fleet Master Chief, he was pivotal as one of the 4 executive advisors for over 300,000 active duty sailors. His influence was not just felt, but deeply ingrained into the direction and the morale of the Navy. His counsel was invaluable to the MCPON, Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy, and the admirals in which he served. His impact was profound, reaching across the entire naval force. Master Chief Kemp's last active duty assignment was as the Fleet Master Chief for U.S. Naval Forces Europe and Africa Command. A diverse community comprised of 56,000 service members, civilians, contractors, and family members. His oversight and influence extended to them all, regardless of their role, reflecting his commitment to the success of the United States Navy and the inclusivity of his leadership. In 2019, Fleet Master Chief Kemp retired from the Navy with 33 years of dedicated and honorable service. His exceptional service was recognized with a multitude of awards, including 5 Legions of Merit, 2 Meritorious Service Medals, 4 Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medals, 3 Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medals, a Combat Action Ribbon, and various unit and campaign awards. Raymond Kemp, in his post-retirement phase, has taken on new roles and titles. He currently serves as one of the Board of Commissioners for the U.S. American Battle Monument Commission and is a certified global speaker, author, and trusted advisor. Without further ado, Fleet Kemp.
It is a privilege and honor to be here with you today. Truly, 249 years of maritime excellence. And this 249 years started in an effort to curb British sea control. The Continental Congress established the Continental Navy, which later, on October 13th, 1775, became the U.S. Navy. Now, the Continental Navy was initially formed and consisted of 2 armed vessels that were tasked with disrupting munition ship supply from the British to the British Army in America. Our Navy consisted of sailing vessels of about 80 sailors with orders to head to the east on a 3-month deployment, intercepting such transports as may be laden with warlike stores and more supplies for our enemies, and for such other purposes as the Congress should direct. Resilience has been our standard since the very beginning. And even recently, the USS Wasp carried on that legacy by spending over 130 days in the Mediterranean, launching and recovering aircraft in the Eastern Med, also known as the Levant area, in support of combat operations, and then going over and supporting Africa Command and lighting up some bad guys over in Libya. Over the past 2.5 decades, just about 2.5 decades, the Navy has grown to become the largest and most advanced and most lethal fighting force the world has ever known. Today, even today, we have about 335,000 sailors on active duty, another 100,000 in the ready reserve. We routinely are deploying ships and aviation squadrons, submarines, and other naval units around the globe, and we are ready to respond at a moment's notice. In today's increasingly complex global security environment, the U.S. Navy continues to provide a constant forward presence in areas where our interests might be challenged. Every day, our forward deployed naval forces are making a difference in national defense, from our Aegis shore sites in Romania and other places around the globe, our forward deployed ships, the anti-submarine warfare units and platforms, our explosive ordnance team members around the globe, the Seabees around the globe, those green corpsmen around the world. Yeah, there's somebody standing to watch and standing there properly. And but I can say, get some, because we are absolutely ready. Now, if you hopped on a plane from Cleveland and you started heading to the east, you would quickly see our Navy impact around the globe. Our submarine training efforts that are happening in New York, anti-submarine training schools that are in Rhode Island, our shipbuilding efforts in Bath, Maine, out into the Atlantic, where you certainly see our teams that are actively defending our coastline and keeping it safe. Into the North Atlantic, where our teams are monitoring the high north and the polar caps to ensure that our allies and friends are safe. The Mediterranean, where we are protected by guided vessel destroyers that are stationed in Rota, Spain. The Levant, I mentioned earlier, which is the eastern part of the Mediterranean, the Suez Canal. Our teams are even on the ground in Djibouti at a base there, in Djibouti, Africa, and other countries that are just disrupting terrorist training camps down on the continent of Africa, over into the Middle East, that treacherous Persian Gulf or Arabian Gulf, depending on when you were there, to Master Chief Snowden's former area of responsibility, where they're trying to see in the challenge that we have going on that are there, this aggressive activities that are happening over there every single day. And then even into the Indo-Pacific area, where we continue to build relevant relationships and partnerships to maintain peace in that vast body of water. Keep on coming, you still, flying it, passing over San Diego, Point Mugu, where our dirt sailors are getting that training with the Seabees and their deployments that are, again, around the world and on the ground, finally ending where we began. But just before that, passing over Great Lakes training facility, where all of our sailors who are entering in go there for training. The Navy is on every inhabited continent, and we are doing it, absolutely doing it right. Not to not mention, but not to exclude after the South America, Australia. We have operations that are happening in training that are happening in both of those places, as well as a really small group of people down in Antarctica. But still, the Navy is absolutely there, and our nation, our nation is depending on it. We defend America from attack. We keep it safe. We secure the sea lane. So, by the way, over 80% of the world's economy is part of the maritime domain, which impacts the global markets, the world's economy. And sailors must stand that watch and stand it well, like stand it with vigor and stand it with enthusiasm, with joy and pain, in the sunshine and in the rain. Look, the world is absolutely depending on those sailors standing that watch. Many of us have stood that watch already, and we too look out there and are glad that we trained it well, and that they are still maintaining the standard. So when I say happy birthday, it's not just to us who are here right now. It's also to those forward deployed folks that are standing and maintaining the standard right now. To them, I say happy birthday as we celebrate. In those years when storm clouds of war could be seen brewing on the horizon, those shipmates still stand and watch. Many times they would cast an eye ashore and see her family, see his family, needing their guidance and their help, needing that hand to hold during the hard times, but they still stand and watch because of their obligation to the Constitution and all that it means. We are advancing American interests around the world. For those of us who have been forward deployed, it's a lifestyle of diplomacy, interaction at the grocery stores, the gas stations. Certainly every workplace is an opportunity for ambassadorship and diplomacy. We all have the same responsibility, whether it be spouses, others, children, friends, come to visit. The world is absolutely depending on it to deter, influence, and build a strengthened alliance partnership to respond to crisis just as swiftly as we respond to those who need that good order and discipline. We are building capacity within our allies Our people are smarter than ever. You know, I'm part of the generation born in the 60s, raised in the 70s. I'm part of the generation where people used to say, just go do it. And in my memory, we just did. But the fact of the matter is that oftentimes the why would catch up. I'm very glad that the sailors that we have now, whatever label, you know, we stick on it, whether it be millennial or Gen Z or whatever, I'm glad they're asking why, because when we start with why, they are just as dedicated as we were. They're even as dedicated, I would challenge, as those from the greatest generation, those who fought in World War II. And so because we are smarter, and because we are learning faster and technology is moving in such a way, we have innovative ideas that keep us out. Now, as I make my way toward the close, I just want to tell you about the USS Ross and the USS Porter. Those ships have been out doing the hard work that it takes to see. And I know that the Army, the Air Force, I know certainly the Marine Corps, with oftentimes with us, even Space Force now, are doing hard things. And no offense to them, but I believe some of us can walk on water. But those ships that are out there getting after it right now, the Ross deployed with just an example of what our partnership looked like. The Ross deployed with the Charles de Gaulle, which is the French aircraft carrier. The Porter was out giving combat support to another nation as well. And so when we think about, and depending on what your association is with the Navy, I'm just here to remind you that, one, we are absolutely getting after it now as well as we ever have. In fact, I'd probably say I challenge that we're doing it better than we ever have. But I also want to let you know that there should be some measure of comfort in knowing that when those folks make their way back and they're looking for care and support, they come to you. That's who you're serving. That is actually who you're serving, and ensuring that their quality of life, that they make their way forward happily ever after, it's solid. But as I make my way back to my seat, I'd like to bring your attention to this year's celebration emphasis, the theme, which is warfighting strength and readiness. And that's what I've been talking about. Our strength lies not only with our readiness for combat, but also in our unwavering dedication to each other, to the mission at hand. And even now, as we are making our way to a very tough election cycle, our sailors and we should be very intentional about the measure of good order, dignity, and respect that we treat one another. Let us continue to build on our legacy with courage, with innovation, and unyielding resolve to be the shield of our republic. Thank you very much again for this opportunity to be here with you. For those of you who serve, thank you for your service, your dedication, and being such an integral part of our nation's history, and for today, being part of the Navy's birthday. Again, I'm Ray Campus. It's my honor to be here. God bless you. God bless your command here, and certainly God bless the United States of America.
Thank you, Commissioner Kemp, Fleet Master Chief, retired. Please welcome Hospital Corpsman First Class Tanika Watson, Health Information Management and Systems Medical Records Administrative Specialist, to read the Chief of Naval Operations birthday message to the fleet.
America's war-fighting Navy. It's time to reflect on our rich naval history as we celebrate our 249th birthday. 249 years of Navy, war-fighting strength and readiness. The birth of our Navy came nearly a year before our nation's independence. On October 13th, 1775, during the early months of the Revolutionary War, our bold and daring continental sailors set sail for Boston to deliver America's its first dose of warfighting advantage. From that point on, there was no turning back. The great American experiment was truly underway, and with its legacy of our United States Navy. Over the centuries, battles, and wars since, Our Navy sailors have continued to deliver warfighting advantage, always ready to preserve the peace, respond in crisis, and win decisively in war if called. From the Eastern Mediterranean to the Indo-Pacific and everywhere in between, our sailors have been standing the watch around the world and around the clock in every domain from the seabed to space and in cyberspace. No other Navy in the world can train, deploy, and sustain such a lethal combat credible force in the pace, scale, and tempo as we do. All of this has been possible by you, America's warfighting Navy. Each one of you plays a critical role in our fleet. You are truly our secret weapon. As we look to the future and the decisive decades ahead, we know that our team will continue to answer our nation's call and build on our Navy's legacy with honor, courage, and commitment. We could not be more proud of each and every one of you, our active and our reserve sailors and Navy civilians who contribute to our Navy's success every day. Please extend our thanks to your families and their own service and sacrifice. We could not do what we need to do every day without their love and support. Happy 249th birthday, shipmates. See you in the fleet. Released by Admiral Franchetti, Chief of Naval Operations, and Mikpam Honana, Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy.
Thank you, H.O.1 Watson. Please welcome Cryptologic Technicians Maintenance First Class Navy Veteran June Knowlton, Chief, Voluntary Services, Development, and Civic Engagement, will now lead us in the bell ringing ceremony. Please rise and remain standing for the bell ringing ceremony.
Good morning, and thank you for attending. As directed, the bell will strike 9 times to commemorate the 249th birthday of the United States Navy. 8 bells used to signal the end of the watch represents the end of the current birthday year. Of those bells are used to signal the end of the watch and current birth year. May I have 8 bells, shipmate? As we celebrate our Navy's 249th birthday, our history and heritage forms our identity, telling us who we are and what we stand for. Our core values of honor, courage, and commitment have been passed down from our founders, who charged the Navy with the solemn duty to serve as the shield of the Republic. The first real test of our Navy faced was solemn duty to serve. The first real test our Navy faced was during the War of 1812. This war began at sea when United States ships were ordered to heave to upon the high seas, and the U.S. citizens were forcefully taken or impressed into the crews of another nation's ship. The great battles that followed proved the fighting mettle of our sailors and the cutting edge of our ship's designs. These battles established both free trade and free navigation as critical nation interests of our country, interests that endure to this day. The warrior characteristics of cunning and boldness exhibited in 1812 inspire our sailors of today's Navy as they continue to serve around the world. The War of 1812 served as a critical turning point for our Navy on this 249th birthday. We have the honor to serve in the greatest maritime fighting force the world has ever seen. But we do so with humility, continuing to build upon the framework those fighting sailors forged before us. History teaches us that with great power comes great responsibility. From the great captains and crews who fought single-ship actions in 1812, to the commerce raiders of the Civil War, from the convoys of World War I, to the major fleet actions at Coral Sea and Midway, from the blockade of Cuba in October of 1962 to the riverine operations on the Tigris and Euphrates, our Navy has boldly and proudly put her shoulder to the wheel. We have championed peace, and we continue to shield the Republic. Here is to 249 years of proud naval heritage and many more. We will now strike the bell for the 9th time. The single bell is traditionally used to signal the start of a new watch and a new year, our 250th.
Thank you, Ms. Knowlton. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant Commander Damian Horvath, Supervisory Public Affairs Specialist, will now lead us in the Prisoner of War Missing in Action Remembrance Ceremony.
As you entered the banquet hall this evening, you may have noticed a small table in a place of honor. It is set for one. This table is our way of symbolizing the fact that members of our profession of arms are missing from our midst. They are commonly called POWs or MIAs. We call them brothers. They are unable to be with us this evening, and so we remember them. The table is set for one, symbolizing the frailty of one prisoner alone against his oppressors. Remember. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their intentions to respond to their country's call to arms. Remember. The single red rose displayed in a vase reminds us of the families and loved ones of our comrades in arms who keep the faith awaiting their return. Remember. The red ribbon tied so prominently on the vase is reminiscent of the red ribbon worn upon the lapel and breasts of thousands who bear witness to their unyielding determination to demand a proper accounting of our missing. Remember. The candle is lit, symbolizing the upward reach of their unconquerable spirit. Remember. A slice of lemon is on the bread plate to remind us of their bitter fate. Remember. There is salt upon the bread plate, symbolic of the family's tears as they await. Remember. The glass is inverted. They cannot toast with us this night. Remember. The chair is empty. They are not here. Remember. Remember, all of you who served with them and called them comrades, who depended upon their might and aid and relied upon them. For surely they have not forsaken you. Remember. Remember until the day they come home. Remember.
Thank you, Lieutenant Commander Horvath. Please stand for our Navy's fight song. The Cleveland Institute of Music will play Anchors Away. Shipmates, feel free to join in. Go Navy! Please be seated. Now, in accordance with naval tradition, the most senior sailor and the most junior sailor present will now cut the first piece of birthday cake. The most senior sailor present is Donald L. Kushler, 92 years young. The most junior sailor present is Todd David Mix, 45 years young. Please come to the front. You got it, Master Chef. Can you help him pick up the cup?
All right, gentlemen, we're going to cut the cake and have you grasp that there. Come a little closer. All right, we're just going to take one slice. Ooh, yeah. Thank you, Jim. Okay, you go ahead and get you a piece of cake right now. You, sir. Again, thank you very much for your service.
He said, I need a piece first.
Carry it for you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Koshla and Mr. Mix. Please welcome retired Chief Hospital Corpsman James Holmes, Health System Specialist, Director's Office, for the reading of the watch.
Let me find my glasses here. No, here we go. These old eyes. Okay. Thank you. The watch. For 20 years, this sailor has stood the watch. While some of us were in our bunks at night, this sailor stood the watch. While some of us were in school learning our trade, this shipmate stood the watch. Yes, even before some of us were born, into this world, this shipmate stood the watch. In those years when the storm clouds of war were seen brewing on the horizon of history, this shipmate stood the watch. Many times he would cast an eye ashore and see his family standing there, needing his guidance and help, needing that hand to hold during those hard times. But he still stood the watch. He stood the watch for 20 years. He stood the watch so that we, our families, and our fellow countrymen could sleep soundly and safely each and every night, knowing that a sailor stood the watch. Today, we are here to say, shipmate, the watch stands relieved. Relieved by those you have trained, guided, and led. Shipmate, you stand relieved. We have the watch. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Holmes. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony. Thank you for attending the birthday celebration. Join us for cake.